Good afternoon, everyone. Hope each and every one of you are doing well. Welcome back to Jeep and Things /Reviews. You can tell what's going on by the title of what we're going to be doing today and hopefully the next couple of days. Hopefully the ice lasts as long as it will. But before we get into that, thank you all so much for all the likes, the subscriptions, the comments. I love doing these videos and interacting with everyone. Please hit the subscription button. I think we're currently at 600 and we'll call it 673, 675. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers. And God bless y'all and thank y'all for checking in. Now on to the coolers. Here's what we got going on and how we are at this point. The last few videos have been over the Roadie 15. That's been the center. The videos have been over that. But during the course of doing that, I've had a few people say, hey, because they've seen all my coolers, why don't you just do an ice retention test with all your coolers? So that's what we're doing today. After I get done with this little clip, I'm going to go buy about a 120-pound bag, 120 pounds of ice. I'm going to calculate how much it'll take to fill all these, then we're going to get going. So what we're going to do right now, real quick, just going to go over each of the coolers, let you know what we're dealing with, and see how well they do. See you in a minute. All right, I've kind of got them lined up, most expensive on down the list. We're just going to go over the contenders here real quick. And just another note, these are not pre-chilled. They've been sitting out here since last night. So no pre-chilling, no product in it. And let's face it, most people probably don't pre-chill anyways. I know when I do my test I do, and I know if there's a planned trip to start it off, regardless of what I'm doing, if I need a cooler, I'll try to pre-chill it. But this will be a good test of you got your cooler, you kept it in the garage, it's outside. Either you forget to pre-chill it or you just flat out don't pre-chill, or somebody says, hey, let's go do this, and you just grab one of your coolers and you fill it full of ice and you head out. So these are not pre-chilled. All right, let's go over the contenders. First, we have the YETI Tundra 65. I think if you were to buy this today, I've had this thing for over a decade, but if you were to buy it today, it would be $350. One would anticipate that, and I've got the little basket carrier, which I'll take out once we get the contest started, but that's the YETI Tundra 65. Once again, you would anticipate that that's going to win because it'll hold more ice, roll molded. I've got a little tongue twisted there, but anyways. Next contender is the YETI Roadie 15. If you've checked in with my channel at all, you'll know that we've done 4 videos using this little cooler. Love it. So we'll see how it does. Next contender, IGLOO. Let's zoom in on a little bit here. It is the Latitude 30 roller. Now, just a little backstory, and this is all where the Roadie 15 came into play. And we will look at, let's walk around. We're going to look at the price tag. There you go. We got it at the max for $24.99. We'll just round it up to $25. When summer started, this would fit behind the seat of my Jeep. I had to take the handle off, which doesn't affect the cooler itself. There's, and I was excited about this cooler. Got it, and it held ice. The couple of times I've tried it, just didn't work. But we're giving it another chance. There's the inside. There's no drain plug. One thing the Roadie 15 does have is a drain plug. So that's it. That's the IGLOO. Now, one of my favorite coolers, this old Coleman here. It's got the old latches. This is and we'll show you the underside. It does have a drain plug. This is a cooler that we'll put the latch on and look at it, back out a second. This is a cooler I got at a secondhand store, thrift store, whatever you want to call it. It was up on the shelf for $7. And I knew that it was an old cooler. Now let's flip it over. Zoom in. I'll try to leave it there so you can see, and then I'll read it. Hope that focused. This was produced January of 1972, made by the Coleman Company Incorporated, Wichita, Kansas, USA. One of my, I guess just because it's an old one, it's a classic. It's pretty light, it's not insulated. There's videos how to insulate these coolers by drilling holes and putting insulation in it. I don't really want to mess with this because it is a 72 model. But anyway, $7 at a secondhand store. Coleman Party Stacker. The wife picked this up. See the sticker still. Yep, that's kind of what, $5. Got it at a consignment store. 20 can capacity, $5. Come on, man, you ain't gonna beat that. So we'll try. I've used it a couple times, and for what it is, no complaints. Yard sale. This is a Rubbermaid. It's a water cooler, but I've used it. Rubbermaid, made in the USA. That was probably $2 or $3 at a yard sale. Last contender, and full disclosure as we move over here, the Polar Pack, I do keep it in the house up to the point of this test. When I run and get some more ice, or get some ice, I will put it in the house simply because it's not hard-sided. Just to give it a little bit fair, I'm not going to put anything inside the cooler to pre-chill. We are just going to let it sit in the house since it is not hard-sided. The wife and I, Lord, 4 years ago, we went to this lodge in February, Valentine's Day, and nearby there's a place to hike, so we was going to do a little hike. I was like, I didn't bring a cooler, so I went to the Gentral, picked this up. It's probably 15 bucks back then, and we used it. I have not used this thing in a long time. It's got a little zipper so you can put dry goods, food, whatnot. Got a place for a water bottle over here, place for a water bottle over here, and of course the inside is insulated. So that's where we stand. I'm going to get some more ice, not some more ice. Once again, I'm going to go get some ice, get these coolers started, and let's get this thing on. See y'all here in a bit. Okay, we made it back. I purchased $38.16 worth of ice. We have 2, 4, 6 at 20 pounds. We got 120 pounds of ice. So we're gonna get them all. If I can walk around the tree here, I'm gonna hurry up for this stuff starts melting. Let's get the coolers. We're gonna speed things up a bit. All right, here's the aftermath. So I didn't get quite enough ice, but we'll show you what I do have. I think it'll be good enough. So, and I did have a partial bag of ice left from the last cooler challenge. On that, I went and got it. So let's start out with the Tundra 65. It is almost full, probably 3/4 full. The little roadie, back out. It's 3/4 full. The IGLOO, it's about full, as you can see. I really wanted to make sure that was full to give it another chance. A vintage Coleman, it's a little over half full. Almost 3/4, but a little over half full. The Party Stacker is 3/4 full. It's about full. Pretty close. That, it's out of the running. Didn't have enough ice. But it's not really a cooler anyway. It's a water cooler. But, and then the little, put it back in line here. Get over there. The polar pack, just keep this in mind as we go through the video, is almost half full. I wish I would have had a little more ice. It's about 120 pound bag short, but you can see what we're at on this. So we'll see here in a second. All right, it is, we'll call it 2 o'clock, August 5th, 92 degrees. And one thing I figured out on my watch, which you thought I might have known this, it'll give you the UV index, rain for the next so many days. Feels like 98. So with that being said, going to have some heat and humidity today. So here's what we got going on. The little polar pack. I went into the house, dumped the ice maker into it. So it is now over half full. It's not quite 3/4, but it's over half full, just to give it a chance. And once I was thinking about it, the polar pack, backpack cooler, you probably don't want it just flat out loaded down with ice. That's something you would probably use an ice pack with and a little ice. So, but just for the record, I did go dump the ice maker into it. And then the little party stacker, as we saw, let me check, I done forgot. Y'all probably remember, but I don't. Yeah, it's 3/4. The Coleman was a little over half. The IGLOO's packed out pretty good because I really, really wanted to give it another chance. The YETI, Roadie, you saw it's 3/4. And then the big YETI, I took some ice out, put in there. So it's a little over half full. So we have started our test. I'm going to get this mess cleaned up and we will check back in. We're going to call it 2 p.m. on August 5th. Let's see how these things do. See y'all in a bit. All right, heading to the gym, but we got full sunlight. We'll check on these little jewels later on tonight, but yep, there is full sunlight on the coolers now. Let's check them out a little bit later. See you in a minute. Okay, we got a quick update. I went and got another bag of ice. It is 91 degrees at 6:15. We started at 2 o'clock. I wasn't originally going to do a 4-hour check, but a couple of these coolers wasn't full enough to my liking. So let's do a quick check. They're probably the same. That I'm going to add some ice. Still look the same. And they should, at least the Yetis. Still the same. Still the same. Still the same. Leave that because I'm going to put some ice in that. Still about the same. And our little old backpack cooler here. Still looks about the same. So what I'm going to do, we'll be back. I'm going to put ice in, that 20-pound bag of ice, and just let you know how full it was. Everything's looking about the same, but going to add some ice. See you in a minute. Okay, here's what I did. And just, it is a feel like of 96 at 6:18. But what I did was the little polar pack, couldn't read from here. The polar pack is now packed. It is full of ice. The little party stacker, I put some additional ice in it. And then the little Coleman, my little classic there, I filled it up. And I think I might have put some in the IGLOO. I don't know. It's still, yep, it's still pretty full. So, just to recap, party pack is now packed, full. I put some ice in that. I filled up the little Coleman. It's good. Really, the only two I left alone were the 2 Yetis. I've done enough reviews over that, so everyone knows how that performs. The big Yeti, it's got enough ice in it, and we'll check it one more time because I did not put ice in this last round. So it's 3/4 full, but it holds more ice. So we're gonna let that one ride, and we're gonna let that one ride. The 4 on the end, I put ice in, so we should be good to go. And everything's riding along good so far after 4 hours. just an update. See y'all in a bit. Good morning, everyone. It is 10 a.m. Tuesday, August 6th, 85 degrees. The feel like temperature is, let me bring it up that for you. Okay, the feel like temperature is 90. So, with that being said, just a quick recap from yesterday afternoon. The Polar Pack, the Coleman Party Stacker, the Classic Coleman, those three at 6 p.m. I split a 20-pound bag of ice because they were really kind of low, so they're up to par. So we're still going to call it 2 p.m. yesterday when we started originally. So we're at the 20-hour mark. The IGLOO I filled pretty much full because I wanted to make sure it had plenty to give it another chance. Then the 2 Yetis I left alone. So let's take a look and see how we're doing at the 20-hour mark. And just a quick note, I never thought you should need to shop for ice. And what I mean by that is yesterday I started out with 6 bags of ice, which I'm 10 miles away from the nearest town. So I was at a little convenience store and they said it's like $6.30 a bag. So I buy 120-pound bags, 6 20-pound bags. Yesterday afternoon when we were coming back in, I'd left to go to the gym, was coming back in. I thought I'm going to get another 20-pound bag of ice, just one more for these. It was $3.99 a bag. I would never imagine there would be a $2.35 price a bag. But anyways, I'm going to quit crying over that. Ha ha, I'll shop around from now on. Enough of me. Let's see how these coolers are doing. All right, let's start with the YETI Tundra 65 20-hour mark. Still looks about the same as yesterday, 20-hour mark. Our little Roadie 15. It has went down some. The ice is still, it's kind of freezing together. And keep in mind these two weren't full. All right, IGLOO, come on now. I'm giving you a 4th chance. I've tried you out a few times to see how you're doing. It's went down, but it still kind of feels hard packed. It's a little hard packed. Okay, 20 hours. Here's my little Classic Coleman. All right. Got a little glare from the sun, and you've probably noticed this by now by looking at it. Everything is in the sun. They seem to get sun in the morning, midday. All right, this is my little Party Stacker. This one likes to sweat, as you can see. None of the other ones are sweating. Let me check this one. Nope, this little baby likes to sweat. Ooh. Ooh. I mean, $5. It's half down. I did refill this last night, but it's already half down. All right, Polar Pack. Ooh, which you can see it's got a lot of water. It's really wet down. But I mean, we're going to come back and check it at 24 hours. Here's what we're going to do. We'll come back, check them in 4 hours, which will be 24 hours. See how they're doing. Doing good, doing good. A lot better than I thought. It's doing good. $5 cooler. Ooh, we'll check it 24 hours. Polar Pack, I mean, it's suffered the most, but it's just a materialistic backpack cooler. A cheap one at that. Okay, we'll see y'all in here in a little bit. All right, everybody. We are here for our 2 o'clock. 95 degrees. We'll check the heat index, which is 99 degrees. So this means we are at the 24-hour mark. So we are going to see where we're at. All right, 24-hour check. We got the Tundra 65. Still doing good. Still looking pretty much solid. Still looking the same as yesterday. 24 hours. YETI Rody 15. All right, I pushed it down just like I did this one. Starting to get water and ice, but she's still holding. Now the IGLOO, what was it? Latitude. Here we go. All right, push it down a little. I'm not complaining with this little jewel. 24 hours. Coleman. Hey, that's doing better than I thought it would. Being that it isn't really heavily or any insulated. Lock the latches back good. Here's where we're going to probably see some decrease. By the way, this is not sweating anymore. Now that the sun's come up, whatever. Chunks of ice. Water and ice after 24 hours. And hey, get a lot of water in there, but this is froze solid. That's a solid clump of ice there. Close it up. So, if I was really trying to preserve, I know ice water is good. I would probably take a little water out of that, but just for the test or not. I'm really not disappointed with anything so far. Considering the price ranges, you know, that go down. So we will check back. I'll probably do one more check-in here in about 5-6 hours for the evening. We'll see in a little bit. All right, everybody, here's what we're going to do. The last check-in was 2 p.m. It is currently 7 p.m. Temperature of 91 degrees. And the feel-like temperature is 96 degrees at 7 p.m. So this will be the, 29-hour check-in. So after 29 hours, we're going to check the coolers and see how they're doing. We'll see in a second. Okay, we're going to start down here and work our way back toward that way. Here we go. Still doing good. Hard packed. Still doing good. The little Rody. Still got big chunks, but it's turned into water. I mean, it's ice water. So there you go. The IGLOO. Lots of ice water. But hey, 29 hours, that's what we got. Let's check out the classic Coleman. Lots of ice water. A lot of these have turned, and I get it, they're not a whole lot of money, but they went from ice to ice water quickly today, but it was hot. Let's try the little party stacker. Still, ton of ice. About like it was earlier. Got ice water. Now let's check out the little polar pack. I don't know why I can't remember that. A lot of water, but we still get that big old chunk of ice in there. Once again, normally I would let a little water out, but we're gonna let her ride for the test. And just FYI, before we cut out of here for the night, we'll come back in the morning and check it. The polar pack, backpack. I did a quick search online before I came out here, and it was $19.99. I don't know if it was a different color, but basically the same cooler. So I don't think that's bad. $19.99. Now the party stacker was $29.99. It was like 30 bucks. It was more expensive than the IGLOO, but I'll do a little more research. If I find out something different, I'll let y'all know. But yep, that's where we stand after 29 hours. See y'all tomorrow. Well, good morning. Here's the thing. I know you're probably thinking, just check the ice, get on to the next segment. But look at here. It is 10:15, so we're at 44 hours and 15 minutes. I'll probably just call it a solid 10. Call it 44 hours. But look at this. Look, 75 degrees. 75 degrees with a feel like focus of 71. That's right. You know, last week when we did the little Yeti there, Roadie 15, that was officially the hottest week of the year. I get it. It's summer. It's summer. But on that little Yeti right there last week, if you haven't watched that, you might want to go back and watch it when I tested the Yeti ice and did the actual ice test using Yeti ice and Yeti with product. Every day was a heat index of triple digits. One night when I checked the cooler at 10 o'clock at night, it was still 100 degrees on the feel like. The actual air temperature is going to be cooler today than the temperature the next few days. I know I've rambled on 1 minute and 24 seconds so far. But yes, it is absolutely amazing out here. And listen, you hear a little breeze. No air conditioners running, no cicadas just going berserko in the trees. It's nice, calm, and cool. Okay, I'm shutting up. I'm just happy. Let's see what we got going on. All right, we'll get everything checked. 44 hours, 15 minutes. We'll just call it 44. I'll come back out and check it at the official 48-hour/2-day mark, and then check it one more time after that. So here we go. The Tundra 65. You can tell it's starting to break away from the wall a little. Ice water over there. The ice itself is still pretty solid. Roadie 15. Still got our big chunk ice. A lot of ice water. IGLOO. Still a lot of ice water. Our little combing. A lot of ice water. Let me set this over here so we can see. Lots of ice water. Party stacker. Well, it seemed like it got to ice water pretty quick, but it's holding on. It's holding its own where it's at. And then once again, our little polar pack. Okay, folks. Water's cold, but the polar pack has bowed out at 40 hours. It's not ice cold, so I'm going to say I don't know at what point it totally dissolved. But I will say this about the polar pack before we eliminate it from the competition. From what I can find online, it's still $20. So, I mean, the first 2 days of this test, heat index near 100. It was hot. And is it worth 20 bucks? Heck yes. I've used it before, even though it was February. Yeah, so the polar pack, it's worth 20 bucks. We're at the 40-hour mark. We're at, now that water is pretty darn cold. So 40 hours, it's out of the competition, okay? It is worth definitely the 20 bucks that they still cost. You know, if you're out going for a day hike, whatever, it's worth it. 40-hour clock out. We'll see here in a little bit. All right, here we are. I almost missed my next timeline. It's saying 218, 80 degrees. The feel like temperature is 77. So we're still no humidity. The feel like temperature, and it is wonderful out here today. Okay, let's do our 2 o'clock, and it's, like I said, 218. 2 o'clock would have been 48 hours. 2 days. So let's go check them out. All right, let's go check it out. And of course, the little polar pack backpack was eliminated this morning. And I was noticing earlier when I was talking about the beautiful weather, I said cicada. Is it cicada? Cicada? Potato, patata. I don't know. 48-hour check. Let's go. YETI, that pack is still good. Little ice on the side, still running good. Let's check out the little roadie at the 2-day mark. Still tons of ice. I mean, we got ice water, but still a lot of ice in it. Okay, the little IGLOO latitude. Yeah, still a lot of ice water. Let's check out the classic COLEMAN. Still, whew, still got some ice in it. And the party stacker. The ice is dwindling in that, but it is still super cold. So there you have it, 48-hour check. We will come back here in about 5 hours and see what we look like then. Check back later. All right, everyone, we are back. Just to do a quick recap, because by this time in the video, we are 30 minutes in. So we're going to do a real quick recap here. We started the ice retention challenge on Monday, August the 5th at 2 p.m. It is currently Wednesday, August 7th at 7 p.m., which means we are 53 hours into the test. Monday, Tuesday, it was hot. It's August, it's hot. Seasonable temperatures for August, good and hot. Today on Wednesday, as I stated earlier in the video, it's been absolutely perfect. So with that being said, it is 78 degrees at 7:03, so we'll call it 7 p.m. We'll call it an even 53 hours, and I already checked the heat index, and it is at 78 degrees. So the actual feel-like temperature is really what the temperature is reading. So it is 78 degrees. Now, just one more quick recap. The polar pack that was there is gone. It's out of the running. But just a reminder, the polar pack that was there, the COLEMAN stacker, the classic COLEMAN, I went and got an additional bag of ice, so they were filled to the brim. The IGLOO latitude, it's doing amazingly well in my opinion. I filled it up real good from the beginning. The Rody 15 and the Tundra 65, the two YETI coolers were not full, but I just let them ride because I knew what this had been doing. I haven't used that in a while, but being that it holds more ice, I knew that it was full enough. So with that being said, all the other coolers were packed. The two YETIs weren't quite packed, but we'll let them ride and see how they do. So let's go check them out. Okay, here we go for the 53-hour check, Tundra 65. Got some ice water over here. Still got an ice pack in it. The Rody 15. Ice water, but still a lot of ice. The IGLOO latitude. A lot of water, but still a lot of ice. Classic COLEMAN. A lot of water and some ice. It's hanging in there. Party stacker. Oh boy. Okay. The party stacker only has a minute amount of ice. So, I'm not going to call it quits on it yet. I may come out here like 10, 11 o'clock, maybe midnight, just to check it. I won't do a video over that, but I'll inform you guys in the morning. So, but that's where we stand as of the 53-hour mark. We'll check back in with you tomorrow. All right, good morning, everyone. We're back out here to do a little check, and you'll notice something's a little different, but first things first. It is 10:21, 78 degrees. I checked the heat index, it's actually 79, so we're riding along on par with temperature, so we're going to call it 78 degrees. And if we called it 10 a.m., even though it's 10:21, we would be at the 68-hour mark. So technically 68 hours and 21 minutes, which means we're less than 4 hours away from the 72-hour mark, which to me, just my little personal, that's the 3-day mark. Can the remaining contenders make it to the 3-day mark? Now, so sad. The little party stacker, you know, when I checked it, it was getting kind of low on ice last night at the 7 p.m. check-in. So I checked it at, it was about 8:45. If we round it off to 9 o'clock, I came outside, and as I told you yesterday, I wasn't going to video, but I came outside, and it was void of ice. So I'm going to call it at 55 hours. So just to give you a quick update, the Polar Pack backpack cooler made it 44 hours. And I gave you my thoughts on that. The Party Pack, it clocked out at 55 hours. My thoughts on it, not a bad cooler, but I went back and looked on Amazon. I tried to find it online, and it's ranging from what I can find from $29 to $34. Seems a little high for, I don't know, you decide. So we're going to call that $30 cooler, and it did make it, and it is prone to sweat in the mornings, because you'll notice some of these other coolers are sweating. So that's it. It made it 55 hours. As far as making it 55 hours, I'm satisfied with that. And we did pay $5 in a consignment store. So I'm totally pleased with the $5 and the performance on that. So there you go. Okay, now to get back and check these coolers. And one last thing before we do check the coolers. Like I said, we're going to call it the 68-hour mark. If I can get these, I know that one will. If I can get them to make it 3 days, I'll be very happy. And I haven't checked them since yesterday, so let's go look. And just another thing, just remember there was no pre-chilling. I know we're probably 35 minutes deep in this video by the time you get to this point. No pre-chilling. I threw them out here, let them set, then we filled them up. So let's check it. 68 hours. The Tundra 65. Okay, that pack is still solid. Ice water around it, so I know it's going to make it to the magical 72. This one I'm a little worried about. No, we still got a big chunk of ice. Woo. I think it is going to make it to the 72. One thing I do want to check. Okay, the plug down there has a little condensation around it at all times. I have used this. I put it in the car. It doesn't get your mat or your carpet wet in the car. Very, very little condensation around the plug. But anyways, I think we're going to make 72 hours of that. All right, let's check. This has been a big surprise for me. I'm just here to tell you that. Look at here. We still have some ice. By the time 72 hours gets here, it's going to be nudging. It's going to be close, but I think we may make it. Let's check out the classic Coleman. This little thing surprised me. Oh, that's plastic. Okay, the water's cold, but we're going to have to pull it from the competition. So at what point we lost all the ice, I don't know. And we're at the 68-hour mark. So we'll call it the ice, or the water in it's super cold. So if you were to have some drinks in there and you woke up this morning and you're like, man, I'm getting me a cold drink and there's no ice, your drink would still be cold. So I want to give it the benefit of the doubt. We'll call it, I know it made it 65. So we'll call it 65 hours. Being that this cooler isn't insulated, first 2 days of the contest, the ice challenge were hot. I give it a thumbs up, especially since I paid $7 for it in a consignment store. We'll call it 65 hours. I consider that a win, and I have used this cooler. It was in October. We did a 2 or 3 day camping trip, took the grandson, and the daytime highs were, it would get warm in the mid 70s, then at night it would dip into the 40s because I remember we had to turn on the heaters, and the ice did last. Wasn't hot weather, it was fall weather. But thumbs up. If I use it this fall, if I go this fall, I wouldn't be afraid to use it. So there we go. We are down to 3 contenders. That was a shocker. I'm just going to tell you that right now. But there we go. We'll check back in. 2 o'clock, 72-hour challenge, or the 72-hour mark, 3 days. See you then. All right, we are right at 2 o'clock. 85 degrees. I checked the heat index. It is 85 degrees. So what we're going to do now is the 72-hour, the magical 3-day check mark. 72 hours. All right, 265. Oh yeah, still got a big block of ice. We're getting some water, but as expected, it's still doing well. The little Roadie 15. Oh yeah, still got a chunk of ice, and there's still some more ice in there. Now, the IGLOO latitude with some ants on it. All right. Yes. Yes. Okay, you can see there is, and that water is obviously ice cold. Okay. There's still a few cubes of ice in that. So we're going to call it at 72 hours because there really isn't enough ice. I figure within the next hour it'll bow out. But let me tell you something. If you've watched my other videos, you'll know that I haven't said good things about this cooler. Just to give you a quick backstory on it. It is August the 8th. Back in April, I purchased this cooler. As you saw, it was from TJ Maxx, $24.99. I purchased this cooler because I knew we were going on a Jeeping event in June. And I needed a cooler because I didn't have this one yet. So I purchased this cooler in anticipation for the Jeep event because it would fit behind the back seat of the Jeep. Well, I took the handle off because it was a little tight. So I took the handle off and it fit behind the seat perfect. A little snug, but it did fit behind the seat of the Jeep. With that being said, this, like I said, this was April. So come May, I just put it in the house. We had a bad storm come through. There was tornadoes. Thank goodness they didn't damage the house, but there was a 50-mile stretch to where there was just damage, and we did lose power for 3 days. At that time, I got the Tundra 65, the IGLOO, and the little party pack Coleman, brought them in the house, and I put ice in them. This was in May. Started putting stuff out of the refrigerator into the coolers. And I told the wife, I was like, the little party pack is doing better than this. It did okay. The YETI lasted no problem. Fast forward to June. I take this and the party pack to the Jeeping event. This wouldn't hold ice, and I don't know why. I did put the handle back on. I wouldn't think that would make a difference because the screws don't protrude into the cooler. So I put the handle back on for this contest. So, without rambling any farther, this is the first time I've used it since June, and I really wasn't pleased with it. It has redeemed itself. 72 hours for the price, 25 bucks. IGLOO's back, thumbs up with me. And like I said, these were not pre-chilled, so throw the ice in, let it go. One more time, these were not full. I did not fill these up. This one and all the other coolers you saw were packed out. So YETI, IGLOO latitude. You're bowing out at 72 hours, but I am very pleased because the first 2 days of this competition, this little challenge, it was hot. Okay, we will check back in this afternoon. That's made it 72, that's made it 72. Thumbs up, IGLOO. See y'all in a bit. All right, Just fixed to start video and saw the little frog sticking his head out of the hole. Come out for the evening. Okay, here we go. It is 81 degrees at 7 p.m. So we are at the 77-hour mark. I checked and the feel like temperature is actually 80. So it's actually 1 degree cooler than what. So it's good and dry. Not a lot of humidity. Okay, so here we go for the 77-hour mark. Still doing pretty good. Big chunk of ice. Big chunk of ice. And now for the little roadie. All right, the little roadie it's ice cold. At what point the ice went out is a good question. But I will say this, I left the IGLOO out here. It went out earlier, as you just saw. This is the third ice retention test I've done with the Roadie 15. It's pretty consistent. And I say that because this one hit 72 hours. Totally impressed. I gave my praise for the IGLOO. So you may be saying now the question would be $25 compared to $200. That's the question, because it lasted almost as long as this. Now, going back to the IGLOO, I gave it another chance and it did exceptionally well. I will say this, the IGLOO, after the first time I used it, the lid came off. And it's just and I'm not gonna pop it off. There's no official hinges. I just did the old, put the pins in there and hit it real hard. With that being said, I've done 3 tests with this. The first ice retention challenge I did when I first got the cooler, I pre-chilled it, put product in it, and put ice in it. It lasted 72 hours. The second ice retention test I did with this, I used the YETI ice. You can go back and watch that, but I'll give you a spoiler alert. It lasted 66 hours. During that test, it was the hottest week officially the hottest week of the year. Actual air temperatures near triple digits, and the feel like temperature was well above triple digits. So $25, $200. I guess that one's up for debate. The one thing about YETI, that YETI there, I've had over a decade. It's been beat like a rented ox. This little YETI, I will say, it'll hold up just like that. You can sit on them, you can stand on them. So big price difference. That's up to you to decide, but this one did good this time. That one will last me as long as, hopefully I live a long time, but I think it'll last. The only thing with this is it's got a drain plug, and I'm not going to say that drain plug affects it to where it hold ice an extra day. I'm not going to say that, but a cooler that small, I don't know if they need a drain plug, because I've had people comment they've got the Roadie 24 that does not have a drain plug. And that's a little bit bigger cooler that maybe should get a drain plug. I don't know, but 77 hours, I don't know how long it's been on the ice. It's still super cold, but we'll say 75. Very consistent. You're looking at 72 to 75 hours. With product, without product. Once again, these two weren't filled to the top, but even if it was filled to the top, I know it's going to get me about 72 to 75 hours. So now we're down to the Tundra 65, which that's no big surprise. It's going to run another day or so. So we'll come back and check on it. Thank y'all very much. All right, good morning, everyone. As you can see, we have one contender left. It is 10:07 at 76 degrees. The heat index I checked is actually 76 degrees, so there isn't any heat index today. We are clocking in, this is day 4, we are clocking in at 92 hours. So we're 4 hours away to making it officially 4 days. So without further ado, let's check out and see how the Tundra 65 is doing. All right, still got the block of ice. Oh, that one broke up. Still got plenty of ice. Got ice water now. I think we're doing pretty good. So we will check back at the official 4-day mark. See how it's looking. See you in a bit. Okay, it's time for our next check. It is about 7 till 2 at 82 degrees. There's no heat index today, so the actual feel like temperature is 82. This will bring us to our 94-hour checkpoint, which would be 4 full days. So let's see where we're at with the Tundra 65. Still got big chunks of ice. Doing good. So we will come back one more time this evening just to give it a check and holler at you later. See ya. Okay, it's the last check-in of the day. It is, we're going to call it about 13 till 7, 81 degrees. There's no heat index. So we'll call it 7 o'clock. And if we call it 7 o'clock, that's going to bring us to 99 hours, which means it's 4 days, 5 hours. Let's see what we got for the last check-in of the day. Still big chunks. They're kind of breaking apart as I pick them up. But as you can see, we still got a lot of ice. So our goal now is to try to make it 5 full days. We'll see what happens. We'll see you in the morning. Good morning, everyone. As you can see, we got the Tundra 65, the lone contender in our little ice retention challenge. It's out there in the sunlight. It is 10:03, 10:02, we'll call it 10 o'clock, 71 degrees. The heat index is 73, so there's not much of a heat index. So we started our little journey on Monday, August the 5th at 2 p.m. It is now Saturday, August 10th at 10 a.m., which means we're clocking in at 116 hours. We are 4 hours away from 5 days. So let's see how we're doing. Oh yeah. Still got some chunks of ice, plenty of ice in there, ice water, but there's still plenty of ice. So you know what's next. We will come back at 2 o'clock. And I'm fairly confident that we're going to make that rather easily for the 5 days. But that's where we're at. See you in a bit. All right, it's time for another official check-in. It is 2:04, fixing to be 79 degrees. The heat index is 82, so there really isn't much of a heat index. But that brings us to the 120-hour check-in time, which means that it's been 5 official days. So with that being said, let's see what the old Tundra 65 has after 5 days. Still looking good. We're still clocking along. So the ice is dwindling. So what I'll probably do, well, we'll have our, I'll try to keep it consistent like I've been doing. We will come back out and check here in about 5 hours and see how it looks then. But she's still hanging on. See you in a bit. Okay, we're back out here for our next check. Close enough, we'll call it 7 p.m. at 77 degrees. The heat index is 80, so there really, once again, isn't a heat index factor. We'll just call it 77 degrees. So 125-hour mark, 5 days, 5 hours. Let's see how we're doing. And we still have some ice left in there. It's dwindling, but there is ice in it. So normally this would be my last check of the day, but we'll come back out, check her later on the night, and see how she is doing. All right, we'll see you in a bit. All right, everybody, I told you we'd check back a little bit later on tonight. I'm going to put the old, if you can see that, the old light baton 3 on the bill of my cap. Get it going here. All right, there we go. Oh, okay, so we are clocking in at, we'll call it 11:30, 67 degrees, and that's about the actual air temperature is 67 degrees, which would put us at 129 and a half hours, or 5 days, 9.5 hours. We can see the old cooler out there. Okay, let's check it out. And there is still ice in the cooler. There you go, that gives you a better look. So that'll be the last check. Shined a little Baton 3 on out through there. Oh yeah. Anyhow, I'm getting sidetracked. That will be the last check. We'll call the Yeti Tundra 65. I'd say, well, like I said, we'll call it an even 5 days, 10 hours, because there is some ice left in it. So, going to go in and I'll give you my final thoughts on the little competition, because we're clocking in, when I began this video clip, we were clocking in at about 53 minutes. So this is going to end up being an hour, but we had 6 coolers. So in the morning, we'll wrap this up on my final thoughts. Thank you. See you in a minute. All right, here's what we're going to do. I think I told you in the last clip we'd wrap it up in the morning, but I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up tonight. We've been on our little journey for 5 days and 10 hours. So what I decided to do is give my final thoughts. I was not disappointed in any performance of any cooler. Now you got to remember, the coolers ranged in age from 52 years old to a month and a half old. So pleased with all the coolers. And you got to remember, a couple of the coolers we got at consignment stores, we got them on the cheap. So I decided to pick 3 coolers just that kind of stood out to me in the competition. So the first one is obviously the Yeti Tundra 65, because it won. Now, one other thing to remember in the competition, which I've probably mentioned a couple times already, is none of the coolers were pre-chilled. Let it set out in the sun. The first 2 days of the contest, or the challenge, if you will, the first 2 days were hot. Highs near triple digits, and then it did cool off, but the coolers were not pre-chilled, and there wasn't any product in the coolers. So number 3, I'm going to give to the Yeti. This isn't any particular order, but it won. The only thing I would be surprised about this cooler is if it hadn't won. So it's done its job. It's lasted almost 5.5 days, so we'll give that to that. And that ice in there, it's hanging on like a hair in a biscuit. I mean, it's probably got about another 30 minutes left, and it'll be gone. The next cooler that I decided to give a shout out to, of course, is the little Yeti Rody 15. The reason that I'm going to kind of give it a shout out mention is because I've done cooler test after cooler test, or I should say ice retention test after ice retention test. It's consistent. It's consistent as the day is long. The Tundra 65 I haven't used since May, since we had the power outage, but it always performs consistently too. This little cooler, whether I'm using just straight ice with product, whether I'm using another contest with ice, with the Yeti ice, with product, or as you've seen in this challenge, I believe that one clocked out at about 75 hours. So I know I'm going to get 3 days worth of ice out of that. Now, just a side note, when I did use product, I was using 4 cans and 2 bottles. So if you were to put a 12-pack in there with ice, your times may vary. But I know it's going to consistently get me 72 hours for what I use it for. And that second test, just for the last time, record heat, the hottest week of the year, it still held up. Third, and then that was 3, 2. The first shout out goes to the little IGLOO. I say little, it's 30 quart. Giving it a shout out because I tried it, I bought it. You've heard throughout the video, it just did not do well. In this particular contest, it held up 72 hours. That was without product, but it was also without pre-chill. It was packed out. It does hold double the amount of ice as the Yeti. And you know, I may try it again with product since it did so well in this competition. And for the price, you're looking at $25, $200, $350. So you could buy 8 of these for the price of one of those. Like I said earlier in the video, the lid came off. First time I used it, I just slapped it back on. So I've got to give it a shout out because it did last 72 hours. Was not disappointed with any of the other coolers in the challenge. These 3 just kind of stuck out to me. So this video is going to end up being about an hour long. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Got other ideas coming up on contest, or I should say reviews. I think we're done with coolers for the summer as we pan back and forth. The cooler challenge, I've done about all I could this summer. I hope you've enjoyed them. I know they went a little long, but please like and subscribe. I think we're up to 685 subscribers. Our goal is to be at 1,000. So with that being said, hope you've enjoyed. Have a great evening. And I hope you enjoy the video. Thank you all so much.